Reading the guest. When you are attempting to make use of suggestive selling, it is also important that you are able to read the guest. This means you cannot treat every guest in exactly the same way. You need to think about the specific guest and sell to their individual needs. Therefore, in this lesson, we will focus on special occasions, the weather, the time of day, the location, and types of guests. Let's begin with special occasions. There are some major aspects of a guest's stay that will serve as indicators as to what mood the guest might be in, or how they might be feeling at a given moment. Special occasions can often help us to determine how a guest is probably feeling. Perhaps the guest is attending a conference at your establishment. This means that they might be feeling serious and be in a rush. In this case, you do not want to waste their time with long, drawn-out descriptions of dishes and specials that they do not have time for. You also won't offer them a glass of bubbly, unless they are there to celebrate a successful business endeavor. A guest could also be joining you for a birthday dinner, anniversary, or party. This means that the guest is in a good mood and willing to listen to your suggestions, as long as they are the ones that will encourage them to have an even better experience dining at your restaurant. Now, let us discuss weather. Whether it is hot or cold outside will make a difference to what the guest would prefer to eat and drink. Therefore, you need to adapt your recommendations and suggestions accordingly. You cannot recommend curry and rice all year long just because it was popular in winter. If the guest is dressed in a warm coat, wearing gloves and looking freezing, would you recommend them a refreshing cocktail or a hot cappuccino? A hot cappuccino or Irish coffee, of course. You always need to put yourself in the guest's shoes. When it's cold, would you crave a chicken Caesar salad and white wine? Probably not. You would most likely be more inclined to order the spaghetti bolognese with a glass of red wine. If you can see the guest is dressed in sandals and short sleeves, you would definitely be able to recommend an ice-cold vodka tonic or an ice cream dessert. Now, let's have a look at the time of day. The time of day is very important when it comes to suggestive selling. You need to think about whether your guests are at your restaurant for breakfast, brunch, lunch, dinner, or even a nightcap. This will affect your recommendation. For breakfast, you would most likely not offer your guest a whiskey. And for dinner, you will more likely offer your guest a delicious glass of red wine with their steak than a glass of orange juice. Or, if your guests are clearly on their way out for a night of fun, they probably would rather have a shot of tequila to get the party started than a warm cup of tea. Now, let's look at location, location, location. The location has an effect on your recommendations. If your restaurant is at the sea, or it is part of a resort, guests will love to enjoy fresh fish, interesting local dishes, great wine, and delicious cocktails. There may be guests who sleep late, who are relaxed and open to recommendations. If you are based in the city, the guests are possibly there for business, or, on the other hand, to enjoy the exciting nightlife. You should cater specifically to these guests by reading which type of guest you are serving. A business guest may want a healthy yet quick breakfast and a strong cup of coffee before they head off for the day. Whereas a guest who is in the city to enjoy the nightlife may be late to rise, and you could recommend a delicious Bloody Mary and a substantial meal to get them going the morning after a big party. Guests staying in a touristy location, therefore sightseeing, will perhaps be early risers, eager to get the binoculars out for sightseeing and exploring. These guests will want to stock up in the morning or have big lunches and dinners since they were too busy exploring to eat. They will enjoy easing into the evenings with a fresh gin and tonic while enjoying the sunset. Guests on an activity-filled holiday may have similar traits. They may have spent a full day diving, enjoying various water sports, or hiking, and they would enjoy a hearty meal in the evenings. Finally, let's look at a few examples of different types of guests and how you can tailor your suggestions and recommendations to these specific guests. Business guests. How would you know if your guest is a business guest? They are probably dressed smartly in a suit. They probably seem slightly rushed if they're there for a business lunch. Time is money, and they may need to get to their next appointment or get back to work after lunch. They may have their phone close by and a laptop or iPad to which they may refer. These guests won't be planning an extended lunch and would greatly appreciate it if you recommend dishes that are quick to prepare. Provide these guests with the necessary information about the preparation time of dishes, as they may then know exactly what to expect. Unless they are celebrating a business success with some bubbly, it is not appropriate to offer them a cocktail for their working lunch. Rather, recommend them a cup of strong coffee or revitalizing juice to get them through the lunchtime lull. Romantic couples. These guests may be more open to recommendations, will be more relaxed and happy, and will want to enjoy a leisurely meal. Be sure not to bother these couples too often or talk for too long, as they probably want to spend more time talking to each other than to you. Offer them some great wines and even some bubbly. Whereas the business guests will probably not stay for dessert, these guests may be quite excited to share chocolate brownies and strawberries for dessert. Guests with children. These guests may also not want to stay for too long, as children may often become restless and bored. The more you can keep the children comfortable and entertained, the longer the parents will be prepared to stay and enjoy dishes from the menu. Be sure to recommend dishes to children that are age appropriate. A teenager may be very excited about a burger and cola product, but not so much about the squid and white wine. Plus, that's illegal. Holiday guests. These guests are generally very open to recommendations. They are easygoing and relaxed, but you may also notice whether they are on their way to do a guided tour. Then, try not to keep them too long. They also may be on a budget, so don't recommend the most expensive dish on the menu. You also have an opportunity here to sell other facilities of the hotel, such as the spa or any tours offered. Curious guests. These guests love to try new things. They are often travelers hoping to get to know a new culture and the exotic food of their destination. It is key that you have excellent product knowledge so that you can give them insider information about local dishes and delicacies. These guests will want to try the local wines, beers, and signature cocktails. It is your job to guide them through this exciting food and beverage adventure. They could also be enticed into buying by offering them tasters before they make their decisions. As you can see, it is important to try and read your guest before attempting to make a recommendation. There's a lot to keep track of, and you need to ask yourself the following questions. Is it a special occasion? What is the weather like? What time of day is it? What effect does my location have? Which type of guest is this? By covering all these points, you are sure to make an appropriate recommendation that will enhance the guest's experience at your restaurant.